If you step outside for 5 minutes, your eyelashes freeze together. If you touch metal with bare skin, it doesn't just feel cold, it tears you. If you breathe too deeply, the air burns your lungs from the inside. Here, cold is not a background condition. It is an active force. It attacks food, machines, and human bodies without warning. Water turns solid in seconds. Breath becomes fog that falls back to the ground. Even sound feels different, swallowed by frozen air. Every movement carries consequence. Every mistake has a cost. Now imagine waking up in this place. Not for an experiment, not for a documentary, but for life. You eat not because you are hungry, but because your body needs fuel to survive the day. You dress in layers not for comfort, but for protection. You check the weather not to plan your outfit, but to decide whether it is safe to exist outside at all. In this environment, the rules you grew up with no longer apply. Nature does not adapt to you, you adapt to it, or you disappear. Technology struggles. Metal fails. Engines stop. Batteries die. And yet, the city does not. Children still go to school when the temperature allows. Parents still go to work. Families still gather for meals. People still laugh, argue, fall in love, and plan for the future in a place where survival itself feels temporary. This is not a story about extreme weather. It is a story about extreme adaptation. Because when a place tests the absolute limits of the human body, it reveals something deeper than endurance. It reveals why people stay, why they refuse to leave, and why, against all logic, they choose to call this frozen ground home. This place is called Yakutsk. What most people misunderstand is this: 71 degrees Celsius is not just a temperature, it is an enemy. At this point, the environment itself becomes hostile to human biology. Air no longer behaves like air. Each breath strips heat from your lungs faster than your body can replace it. Moisture freezes before it falls. Skin exposed for seconds begins to numb, then fail. Water, the substance that sustains life, turns against it. Metal becomes adhesive. Fuel thickens. Plastic cracks. Batteries surrender. Even machines designed by humans quietly admit defeat. And this is where the uncomfortable comparison begins. Arctic animals were built for this. Polar bears, reindeer, and foxes wear insulation grown over generations. Their bodies store fat differently. Their blood circulation protects vital organs. Their fur traps microscopic air pockets that turn lethal cold into survivable climate. Humans have none of that. Our skin is exposed, our lungs are vulnerable, our metabolism burns fuel inefficiently in extreme cold. Evolution never intended us to live here. From a biological perspective, we are visitors in a place that rejects us. And yet, we stayed. This is where the debate starts. Some will say humans conquered this land. Others will argue the opposite, that humans are merely tolerated here, surviving on borrowed time through constant adaptation. One mistake, one exposed patch of skin, one failed engine, and nature reminds you who is in control. So the question becomes unsettling. Is this proof of human resilience? Or evidence of human stubbornness? Because building a city here is not a triumph of comfort. It is a permanent negotiation with death. Every day is an agreement that can be revoked by weather alone. And yet, children are born here. Families grow here. Traditions survive here. Which forces a deeper question that divides anyone who watches this story. If a place actively works against human life, should we leave it? Or does staying redefine what it means to be human? That tension between biology and will is what truly defines life here. And it only gets more extreme from this point forward. If this place was never meant for humans, the obvious solution would have been simple. Leave. Pack what you can. Follow the rivers south. Settle somewhere warmer. Somewhere the air doesn't burn your lungs and metal doesn't tear your skin. Somewhere survival doesn't demand constant vigilance. And many people did leave. But not everyone. Which leads to the question, that logic alone cannot answer. Why didn't humans abandon this place completely? And more disturbing still, why did some choose to stay? Because no one is born into Yakutsk by accident. Staying here is not ignorance. It is not a lack of options. It is a decision renewed every winter, every morning, every time the temperature drops far below what the human body can tolerate. At some point, the explanation stops being geographical or economic. It becomes psychological. This land does something strange to people. It strips life down to essentials. Comfort disappears. Convenience becomes irrelevant. What remains is purpose, routine, belonging. In a place where nature does not care if you exist, human connection becomes everything. Leaving would mean warmth, but it would also mean losing something harder to name. For some, this is the land of their ancestors, graves frozen into the ground, memories preserved in ice. For others, it is pride, proof that they can endure what most of the world cannot even imagine. And for many, it is simply home, not because it is gentle, but because it is familiar. Here, survival is not a phase of life. It is life. So, the story shifts. This is no longer about how cold it gets, or how machines fail, or how biology breaks down. It becomes a story about choice, about identity, about what people are willing to endure in exchange for belonging. And once you understand that, the city stops being a curiosity. It becomes a test, not of weather, but of the human spirit. From this point forward, the journey is no longer about the cold. It is about the people who refuse to leave it behind. Morning does not begin with sunlight here. It begins with calculation. Before opening your eyes, you already know the temperature. You feel it in the walls, in the air pressing against the window, in the silence that tells you the city is frozen in place. Getting out of bed is not comfort, it is commitment. The first battle of the day is not outside, it is inside your body. You eat not for pleasure, but for survival. Fatty food, heavy food, food that burns slowly and keeps heat trapped inside you for as long as possible. Breakfast is not a ritual of taste, it is armor. Skipping it is not a choice, it is a risk. Then comes the layering, thermal underwear, wool, more wool, insulation, overalls, fur, gloves, inside gloves, a face covered until only the eyes remain. 8, 9, sometimes 10 layers, each one added with methodical care, like a soldier preparing for exposure rather than combat. Only when the body is sealed do you approach the door. Stepping outside feels like crossing a threshold between worlds. The air hits your lungs sharply, as if reminding you that breathing itself is not guaranteed. Each inhale stings. Each exhale crystallizes instantly. Your eyelashes begin to stiffen. Your cheeks numb before you've taken 10 steps. And yet people walk to work. They wait for buses. They unlock shops. They open schools when the temperature allows. Not because they are fearless, but because this is routine. Survival has been folded into daily life so completely that it no longer feels dramatic. So ask yourself honestly, would you still go to work if your breath hurt your lungs? If every step outside carried consequence? If simply existing demanded effort? Here, no one asks whether it's too cold. The question is only whether today you are ready. And every morning, somehow, they are. Once you step fully into the city, it stops feeling real. A thick white haze hangs in the air, swallowing distance. Frost fog drifts low across the streets, formed not by weather alone, but by human presence. Warm breath, engine exhaust, and heat colliding with air cold enough to freeze sound itself. Visibility shrinks to 20 meters. Beyond that, the city dissolves into nothing. Buildings fade into silhouettes. Street signs blur. Faces become indistinguishable shapes moving through white silence. Even familiar places feel foreign, as if the city resets every morning under a fresh layer of ice. It looks like the aftermath of something catastrophic. Yet, nothing has gone wrong. Municipal crews scrape ice from roads, as if this were routine maintenance. Buses emerge from the fog, engines humming steadily. People gather at stops, wrapped in layers, standing quietly, conserving energy. No panic, no urgency, just patience. When temperatures plunge below 1950 degrees Celsius, schools close not for storms, not for disasters, but for safety. And still, children appear. They slide down frozen hills carved into public parks. They chase each other across snow-packed streets. Their laughter cuts briefly through the fog before freezing into silence. To an outsider, it looks reckless. To them, it is childhood. Hair freezes white within minutes. Eyelashes stiffen. Scarves harden at the edges. Fur coats move through the haze like shadows from another century. Synthetic jackets fail quickly here. The city makes that clear. What feels apocalyptic to visitors feels ordinary to residents. This is not an emergency response. It is a lifestyle. For those who live here, this environment is not extreme. It does not signal danger. It signals normality. A normal commute, a normal school closure, a normal afternoon at 50 degrees Celsius. And that is the most unsettling part. Because once you accept this as normal, the city stops looking hostile and starts revealing something deeper. A place where the extraordinary has been absorbed into routine, where survival no longer feels dramatic. For them, this isn't extreme. This is normal. Here is where the city reveals another rule. In Yakutsk, machines do not support life. They participate in it. If a car engine stops, it does not rest. It dies. Oil thickens, batteries collapse, metal contracts, and fuel turns sluggish. So cars are left running day and night, breathing exhaust into air cold enough to freeze it in place. Let me ask you this. Would you trust your life to a machine that cannot be turned off? Engines here are treated like living things. They must stay warm, active, protected. Blankets cover vehicles, trapping precious heat. Hoods are wrapped, radiators sealed, because just like a human body, a machine exposed too long will fail. Look around and you notice something stranger still. Buildings do not touch the ground. They stand on concrete piles, lifted above frozen soil. This is not design, it is survival. The earth beneath this city is permanently frozen, sensitive to heat. Warm buildings would melt it, soften it, betray it, and once the ground moves, everything above it follows. Pipes run above ground. Cables remain visible. Nothing is hidden, because digging would wake the earth. In Yakutsk, even the ground can betray you. Pause for a second. Imagine living in a city where technology must obey nature, not the other way around, where survival depends on keeping everything alive. Not just people, but machines, buildings, and the land itself. This is not innovation for comfort. It is innovation for survival. Every single day, without applause, without headlines, just cooperation with a world that never forgives mistakes. And once you understand that, the city makes sense. Not as defiance, but as adaptation measured, relentless, and ongoing. The question is simple. How long could you last here before the cold answers for you? At some point, explanation is no longer enough. Here, you have to see it. So imagine this, a bowl of hot noodles, steaming, freshly cooked. In most cities, it would cool slowly. Here, it freezes solid in under 2 minutes. The surface hardens. The noodles lock in place. Heat doesn't fade, it surrenders. Now look at fruit, apples, bananas. Food meant to be soft, alive. In this air, they turn into stone. You don't peel them, you strike them. Hit one against metal and it cracks. Try to bite it, and you risk breaking your teeth. This is not exaggeration. This is physics. What about boiling water? At 71 degrees Celsius, you can throw a cup of boiling water into the air, and it never reaches the ground. It explodes into vapor, freezing mid-flight, scattering into ice crystals before it can burn you. For a moment, it looks beautiful, and then you remember what it means. Heat has no authority here. Metal is worse. Touch it with bare skin, and it doesn't feel cold. It grips you. Moisture freezes instantly, bonding flesh to surface. Pull away too fast, and skin comes with it. Glasses with metal frames can tear faces. Zippers become traps. Even buttons demand caution. Pause for a second. Most places on Earth negotiate with humans. They allow mistakes. They forgive hesitation. This place does not. Every experiment ends the same way. Nature sets the rules. Humans learn them or suffer the consequences. There is no drama in this, no anger, no malice, just inevitability. And that is what makes it terrifying. Because once you understand how easily heat disappears, how quickly comfort becomes danger, how fragile the human body really is, one truth becomes impossible to ignore. Nature doesn't negotiate here, and yet life continues anyway. After everything you've seen, the question no longer sounds logical. Why stay here? Not because of work, not because of money, not because they don't know another life exists. They stay because of people. Families live close together here, not out of convenience, but necessity. In a place where the environment shows no mercy, human connection becomes the strongest shelter. Parents teach children how to dress, how to eat, how to move, how to survive. Knowledge is passed down quietly, without drama, because mistakes are unforgiving. This land also holds ancestors. Graves lie frozen beneath the soil. Stories are embedded in the ground. Generations endured winters like this long before modern heating or technology existed. Leaving would mean warmth, but it would also mean separation from memory, from lineage, from identity shaped by endurance rather than comfort. And there is pride, not loud pride, not performative pride, but a quiet certainty that life here requires strength most of the world will never need. People who grow up in Yakutsk learn early that survival is earned daily, that resilience is not a slogan, but a habit, that weakness is not shameful, unpreparedness is. Outsiders often mistake this for stubbornness. It isn't. It is belonging. Because home is not defined by ease. It is defined by familiarity. By the way routines form around hardship. By the way a place shapes you until leaving feels like losing a part of yourself. They don't live here because it's easy. They live here because this is home. And once you understand that, the cold stops being the main story. The people become it. What remains is not a city fighting nature, but a community that has learned how to exist alongside it. Season after season, generation after generation. And that is something temperature alone can never explain. Yakutsk was never meant for humans. No blueprint of the human body includes lungs for burning air, skin for tearing metal, or blood for freezing silence. This place violates every assumption we make about where life is supposed to exist. And yet, life exists here anyway. Not briefly, not accidentally, but deliberately. What you have seen is not a city surviving against nature. It is a city that learned how to move within it. Adaptation replaced resistance. Routine replaced fear. Survival became ordinary. And that is what makes Yakutsk unsettling. Because once you strip away comfort, technology, and choice, something raw is revealed. When warmth is not guaranteed, community matters more. When mistakes cost flesh, knowledge becomes sacred. When leaving is always possible, but staying is chosen, identity sharpens. Yakutsk forces us to confront an uncomfortable truth. Human limits are not fixed. They are negotiated, not with nature, but with necessity. We often believe resilience comes from ambition, innovation, or willpower. But here, resilience comes from repetition. From waking up, eating, dressing, breathing, and doing it again tomorrow in conditions that do not care if you succeed. This is not inspiration in the usual sense. It is perspective. Because if humans can build families, culture, and meaning in a place like this, a place that offers no mercy and no reward, then perhaps our understanding of what is impossible has always been incomplete. So the question this journey leaves you with is not about Yakutsk at all. It is about you. If humans can survive here, what else are we capable of when we have no other choice? Would you survive one winter here? And more importantly, what would it take for you to stay?